Good Tuesday morning, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. I'm Maria Bartiromo, and it is Tuesday, October 17th. It is 7 a.m. on the East Coast on the button. Take a look at this live picture of a giant smoke cloud rising over Gaza this morning as Republicans remain divided over who will be the next House Speaker. Democrats are not seeing eye to eye when it comes to the war on Israel. Democrat Congressman Richie Torres publishing a New York Post op-ed this morning, calling out Democrat socialists for indoctrinating young Americans with anti-Israel hate in a moral monstrosity, he writes. This as squad member Ilhan Omar is under fire for reposting a photo of dead children, claiming that it was from Gaza. A community note from X found the photo was actually from Syria in 2013. Omar has since deleted the post. Todd Pyro, your reaction?
I think we should expect nothing less.
How irresponsible. How irresponsible.
Her entire time in Congress has been one of irresponsibility. But to the Richie Torres article, I appreciate how full-throated a defense of Israel it was. Richie Torres clearly on the side of right. But this goes beyond Israel when you look at the problems within the Democratic Party, because take a look at the last 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. The Democratic Party has slowly injected its way into, let's call it, societal issues and perpetuated the wrong side of the argument. And yes, you could say, well, there are two sides argument. I'm talking about issues where there really is only one side.
Yeah.
Israel burning down our cities. It seems like we should all be rowing in one direction when it comes to issues like that. But the Democratic Party has shown no, we are not all rowing in one direction. And once it happens in the Democratic Party, that fissure gets into the bloodstream.
You're saying two different things. Israel and then those people who burn down our cities, right? You said Israel burning down our cities.
No, Israel and those people, correct.
Okay.
It's just part of an overall, part of an overall approach to why are Democrats not able to all row in the same direction on issues that we should all be on the same page.
Exactly. Krysia, let me just say, I mean, at this point, the tone is set by what Todd's talking about from the Democrat leadership or from the White House, but it ripples through. It goes to universities. It goes to young people. It ripples through.
It ripples through, and this is exactly why Ilhan Omar's post is so irresponsible, as you said, because it's actually inciting violence. This misinformation is causing people to come together, promote values that are completely incorrect and ill-informed, and this is why we have people being indoctrinated and terrorist attacks. We have these lone wolf attacks because basically people don't understand that Israel at this point is defending itself.
Yeah.
Hamas is putting its people on the front line and using them as human shields. Why is it so difficult for the members of the squad to condemn Hamas?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
So many people predicted this, that as soon as Israel starts to retaliate, they will be told, ceasefire time.
Well, I think what we're getting at is that Democrats try to identify victims, because if you can identify a victim, then you can say that person, that group, et cetera, needs help. If you are a student borrower and you can't afford your loans, you have been victimized by the banks. We, the Democratic Party, will support you. If you are a Palestinian living in the Gaza Strip and Israel has been forcing you to, quote, go through security checks for all of your life, you are a victim, and therefore we will support you. If you are a young inner-city black person living in Chicago and you feel hemmed in by the system because you don't have opportunity, we, the Democratic Party, will support you. It's about trying to identify victims and then justifying their ability to try to help those victims. I think that's part of the DNC strategy.
You know what I want to identify? I want to identify the 30 families who have lost their loved ones.
Right.
30 Americans are dead this morning because they were in Israel because of all of this. 13 others are missing. We have no idea. What are the Democrats saying about those 30 dead Americans?
Again, silence.
Silence.
Yeah, that was
silence. Yeah, and therein lies the problem and the rub. And when you try to identify victims and you try to take that as your defense, I think right away you start to lose your moral compass, your sense of true north.
We don't know.
And true north is if you're an American congressperson, your sense of true north is defending this country.
Of course.
Period.
And we don't know how many hostages that are held. We understand that there's 199 hostages. We don't know how many of those are American.
We don't. I mean, we have a guesstimate, but we really don't know. And that's why, again, far be it from me to send our brave men and women into Israel, into a battle zone. But there are special operations forces who are trained and successful at going in and getting hostages in situation.
That's right.
I think it's about time we get our boys and girls out.
Now, this ready to deploy on the troops, these are specifically troops to help on health care. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Health care and administrative tasks. But it begs the question, at what point, I shouldn't say that, at some point, will those individuals, will their mission change? And you know, times of war, decisions are made and then decisions are reversed. And I think we do need to pay attention to that, because then America reaches a different stage in this conflict.
NBC News reported that the troops would not necessarily go to Israel or Gaza, but would likely arrive in a nearby country. A defense official said to NBC News. I just got that from NBC News. We don't know if it's true or not, but we know that the U.S. has put 2,000 U.S. troops told to prepare for deployment. We've got much more ahead this morning. Coming up, how markets are moving on a busy morning of earnings. Bank of America reported a double beat this morning. Earnings and revenue better than expected. We are awaiting numbers from Goldman Sachs later this hour. Meanwhile, the broader markets are lower. Dow Industrials down 74. We got the Word on Wall Street panel here with their expectations on the other side of this. You're watching Mornings with Maria, live on Fox Business. Stay with us.